Hey, are you a Dr. Phil fan? You may not think I am, but I'm a huge Dr. Phil fan. I didn't really care about his Oprah stuff, but if you ever watch like his daytime talk show, he has to do like some of the same dumb stuff that other daytime talk shows have to do. But he's not dumb. He's a guy who's been in the clinical setting that he's actually throwing around some very good advice to the biggest mutants that they can bring up on the TV stage. And so I've slowly grown to be a fan of Dr. Phil. And then when you see the clips that he puts out in social media and whatnot, you think, well, not only is this guy okay, he's one of us. Wow, he's not just a Texan in name only. You and Dr. Phil and your politics, I think y'all would have a great conversation if you ever sat down with him at the bar. So Dr. Phil being on Joe Rogan, I mean, this is turning into like a super Texan thing because Joe Rogan is the special kind of Texan. He was like born and raised in like New York and California, and he gave those up. Like or actually Boston and Los Angeles, or his two former homes where he spent his entire life. And now that he's made millions and millions of dollars and can choose anywhere he lived, where did he move to? Texas. Smart guy, right? Loves it. Says great things about Texas all the time. Great ambassador for it. And people, I guarantee you, people have moved here just because Joe Rogan has said so much nice things about his experience being around people like you and me. So Dr. Phil was on Joe Rogan, and he talks about his visit to the border. Dr. Phil cares about the border? I guess so. I didn't know either. I thought, look, he's launching his own little network. He's got a great TV show going here, and he's got some studios and stuff that he's growing in the Dallas area. But he took some time away from all that to go visit the border. Check this out.
I've been to the border recently, and I talked to those guards down there, and I'm telling you, I spent just a day down there, and I know there have been people that spend a lot more time down there than that. But what I heard down there was, even knowing, I felt like I knew a lot about it before I went down there, but I was shocked. As much as I thought I knew about it, I was shocked when I got down there. Though, first off, the morale among those guards down there is the fact that they're hanging in and doing as well as they are is they're turning into social workers. You know, they went down there to be guards, and they say what we're doing now, instead of apprehending these people, is we're greeting these people, and we're processing them and giving them money and resources.
Now, you haven't heard Dr. Phil make a whole lot of political statements because it's dangerous for him to do so. Dr. Phil is a guy that has been largely throughout his career being seen as someone who's fairly apolitical, and so he's not really pushing anybody away. But once you start taking a hard line on some of these political issues, you run the risk of alienating some of your audience. Now, some of the audience can even agree with him, but they don't want him to say it because these are things that could help Trump. But Dr. Phil, this is not helping his career. This is not going to make him any money. If anything, this is going to cost him a little bit, and at a very crucial time, because like I said, in a couple months, he's about to launch his own network. How do I know? I know people, okay? But he goes, and he doesn't just go take some pictures where he's pretending to cry on a fence and then come back and demand other people do something. He's actually talking to the people. He's talking to the Border Patrol people, asking them what they need. Because what is he going to do with that information? Use his platform, use his public persona and his image and his access to help these guys on the front line get their word out. And what they were saying, what they told Dr. Phil, according to Dr. Phil on Joe Rogan, is they don't need more money.
The union guy who's head of the union for all of the guards, it was interesting. I asked him, what do you need? What do you need down here to do your job? His name is Brandon Judd. And he said, we don't need more money. We don't need more agents. We don't need new legislation. We just need you to let us do our job. We just need you to apply the laws that exist now, and we'll be fine. Well, you don't need, we don't, I said, wait a minute, you're telling me you don't need more money or more agents? He said, no, just let us do our job. If you just, we had in place a hold in Mexico instead of come over here, just use the legislation that's on the books and we're fine.
So we've talked to people on the James Show that reported from the border. We've talked to Border Patrol agents that have said the same thing. And so Dr. Phil's not saying anything new or novel, but he's saying it through a bigger megaphone than the Border Patrol agent that we talked to on the James Show or even the James Show itself. Dr. Phil is a guy that, because he has such an apolitical career from a couple decades built up, that he's a guy who can poke through, and it's hard to say that he's a partisan hack. You can't say that he's like so many of these other peoples that are putting themselves in the media to talk about these contentious issues, that their whole career is based on politics. They're political grifters to the point. This is the opposite. This is a guy who is saying it despite the fact that this is not going to help his career. This is only going to hurt. So why would he be saying that? I would have to assume he thinks this is the right thing to do. And then this is where Dr. Phil turns into Dr. Phil, not only recognizing and admitting a problem and then properly diagnosing the problem, but also the sort of the philosophical backing behind why we have the problem.
I talk about 10 principles for healthy society, and one is you don't reward bad behavior. We've got people that we know are lawbreakers if they're coming in illegally. And so what do we expect them to do once they get here? We're rewarding that behavior. They come in illegally. We reward it by giving them a free pass for 7 to 10 years because that's how long it's going to take for them to get a hearing. And you know how many will show up for that hearing? And most people would say none. No, I bet you they all show up for their hearings because it's been 7 to 10 years, and they'll show up and say, hey, I've been waiting 7 to 10 years. The system will probably at that point let them stay.
It makes you wonder how this guy got such a national voice in an arena of entertainment that is so dedicated to the left. Because think of how different what Dr. Phil says is compared to what you usually have in daytime talk shows. And for the ones that do get political, you know, like an Ellen DeGeneres or the Rosie O'Donnell had her show. But the big one, look, it's a huge show. The View, you may not think it's that big of a deal, but it's literally the most watched daytime talk show in America, and you know it holds sway with women, and it holds sway with a big chunk of the American population that would never listen to a WBAP. They would never turn on a Fox News or probably any news channel. Dr. Phil is in that space, and I'm not sure how he got into that. It seems like an accident, but support this man. If you're taking the day off and you're going to sit at home and watch daytime talk shows, put it on his. If you're already retired and you're already watching TV, put it on his. Unless it's on during the James Show. Is it on during right now? Because I will take that all back if you're going to do that instead of listen to me.